2, 3, funk it.
Story time about why I beat up my best friend. So a little background information. Her and I had been best friends since we were in 7th grade. Her family was rich, mine was poor, and at first she was a really good friend. She was always there for me whenever I needed her, until our freshman year of high school, which is when her and I started hanging out with boys. Now, my mom was kind of strict. She wouldn't really let me hang out with boys, but her mom was more lenient about her hanging out with boys. Every weekend she would throw a party at her house, and she would throw them in her attic because 1, it was huge, and 2, her parents didn't give a fuck what she did up there. Anyways, she would always offer to do my hair and makeup before the party started, which always made me really excited because I never really put any work into my physical appearance. Well, little did I know, the only reason why she would offer to do my hair and makeup at these parties was so that way she could make me look like shit in front of all the boys. So after that, I taught myself how to do my own makeup and do my own hair, like for part 2 about why I beat up my best friend. So like I said, I learned how to do my hair and makeup, and she went on vacation for like a month straight. Well, when she came home, she threw another party, and she was like, don't worry, after I'm done getting ready, I'll do your makeup and do your hair. And I was like, no, it's fine, I got it. She literally looks at me and she goes, are you sure? You don't really know how to do that. Like, it'll probably look really bad. And I'm like, why the fuck would you say that? She goes, no, like, I don't mean it to be rude. It's just that, like, I want you to look good in front of the boys and stuff like that. Like, sis tried to talk me into getting a shower for a full, like, 20 minutes. So after that, the whole night, she's literally being a pick-me girl. She's making all these comments about me in front of the boys, and I just keep brushing them off until her next party. We got ready, and I put on these expensive shoes that I had just bought, and she goes, wow, you just like really like to copy my style, don't you? So she starts making comments that whole night about how my family's poor and stuff like that, and she threw up all over my shoes. So I dumped the trash can that everybody had threw up in that night on her, punched her in the face, but like 2 months later, she came to my house and apologized.
This girl who used to bully the shit out of me DM'd me on Instagram. We are going to call her Emma. Emma DMs me and she's like, hey, we should meet up at Starbucks. I want to catch up. I want to tell you stuff. And my dumb ass was like, okay, let's do it. But the day comes when we're meeting up. So obviously I took an Uber there. I was gonna be a little late, so I called Emma and I was like, hey, my Uber's taking long. Can you please get my drink so we can talk more and I'll pay you back? And so she said she would, so it was cool. I get to Starbucks. So me and Emma are drinking our drink and then I start feeling very sick to the point where I was fainting and throwing up really bad. So I went to the bathroom and this lady followed me into the bathroom and told me that the girl that I was with, Emma, put a pill in my drink and I was gonna go confront Emma about it, and by the time I went back, she had ran away. So I end up calling an Uber to go home because I was not feeling well at all. Like, I was dying. The Uber comes and guess who is in the Uber? I did not see Emma at first, but then she popped up right after I put my seatbelt and we went on the road. Emma then locked all the doors, broke my phone. I couldn't really do anything because at this point I was really, really weak from what she had put in my drink, and started spraying me with pepper spray, which hurt really bad. At this point, I'm basically weak. I'm like fainting every second and I have pepper spray everywhere. I don't have my phone. And Emma starts laughing at me. This is the best pop. So she ends up dropping me off at an alley in the middle of nowhere that was like 2 hours from my house. I found this out because someone ended up driving by the alley and they asked me if I needed help, and then they helped me and I contacted my parents and the police. Obviously the police got Emma, but I am not allowed to say more about Emma other than this story. But yeah, don't meet up with your bullies. Or at least the crazy ones.
If anyone's wanting to know how to get revenge on someone who spread rumors about you, listen to this story and it may come in handy. So I had a friend that we can call Miranda who was obsessed with me. I was genuinely friends with her, but she would never give me a break. I could not get a breather from her at any point in time. Everywhere I went, she went. And this girl would actually get so upset with me anytime I would go over to another friend's house. I knew she was really insecure and just trying to get attention, so I tried to be patient with her. However, one day I just could not take it anymore. I got into a massive fight with her over how overprotective she is. I literally said, you are a stage 5 clinger. And in response, this girl ended up joining my basketball and softball team, which I've been on for forever. She told her mom that I was bullying her, which was a complete lie, but then her mom went to the coaches. She got me kicked off the team and then continued to spread rumors about me. I ended up losing my best friends and even my boyfriend over the rumors that she spread about me. So that's when I decided to get revenge. So I decided that I was going to send her over an apology gift with makeup in it, which was a mix of drugstore items and poison ivy.
This is why waking up late might just save your life. One day when I was in elementary school, my mom and I both overslept, which meant I wouldn't be ready in time to get on the bus. School started at 8, my bus pickup time was at 7, and it was already 6:40 or something. I was still in my PJs and hadn't even had breakfast yet. My mom decided that today we would just tell the bus driver to go on ahead and she would take me to school, which would give me plenty of time to get ready. It's 6:50, I'm in my PJs eating breakfast, and that's when we hear the bus pull up 10 minutes earlier than scheduled. My mom peeks her head out of the door into the foggy morning and waves the bus on. She closed the door and came back inside, but the bus didn't pull away. There's a knock at the door and my mom opens it to find a man in a bus driver uniform. He explains he's a substitute bus driver because the regular driver called in sick and that he's early because he wanted to get an early start on the route. My mom says she's taking me to school because we woke up late. He gets visibly upset and says he can wait a few minutes since he's already ahead of schedule. My mom says that we won't be ready in a few minutes and tells him to go on ahead. He seemed really angry about this, but turned around, got back on the bus and left. But at 7 a.m., another bus pulls up to my house. My mom went out to talk to them and came back looking terrified. But she didn't say anything about it and told me to finish getting ready for school. At the time, I didn't know what happened, but my mom would end up telling me a few years later. When she went to the second bus, she found out it was being driven by my regular driver and it was full of other kids that are usually on my route. By the way, the other bus was empty. My mom asked the driver about the substitute driver and about him calling in sick. He tells her that he never called in sick and there is no substitute driver on his route. The driver immediately called dispatch in a panic and told my mom to go inside and call the police and report this incident, which she did without me knowing at the time. There was absolutely no one doing my driver's route that day. Whoever this was most likely a kidnapper who had targeted me. I never heard anything about it again, not even if someone else had ended up being picked up by this mysterious fake bus driver. But chances are, had I gotten on that bus, I would never have made it to school or back home. And if we hadn't overslept on that specific day, I would have been on that bus.
This story time was sent to me by a follower, and it actually involves a very popular creator on this app. They actually have millions of followers. Let's get into it. So this girl first started talking to this creator when she DM'd him, and he actually replied. She thought he was really cute, he thought she was really cute, and they exchanged numbers. Ended up meeting up at Playlist, and he invited her to chill in his Airbnb. Well, things got a little bit freaky deaky in that Airbnb. You know, they was fucking. Afterwards, they just kind of chilled. They were laid up talking about life, you know, all that deep shit. And eventually he told her that she had to leave because his boys were coming through or whatever. They just wanted to chill and talk about boy stuff. But before she left, he told her that he loved her and he wanted to be with her. What the fuck is going on here? Let me fix that real quick. Okay, we back. So she left and went to tell her friends what just happened. Hours had passed and she noticed that he wasn't really posting on his story anymore. And he usually posts a lot. While her friend opened Snapchat, noticed that he actually did post. He posted hours ago. And he was with another girl. I forgot to mention that this TikToker actually took her virginity. Her first time was in the Airbnb. So yeah, she noticed that he blocked her from watching his story because her friend could see his story but she couldn't. And clearly he did not want her to see that he's laid up with another girl in that same Airbnb that they were just fucking. Anyway, so she obviously texted him and was like, what the fuck is this? She threatened to expose him and everything. And he replied saying, well, if you expose me, I'm gonna expose you. She said, what do you have against me? And he replied with, I know you have a boyfriend. And she did have a boyfriend. So she said, oop. And he proceeded to tell her that he only wanted to use her for pussy while he was at Playlist.
This is why you should never knock on a stranger's door. Once there was a man trying to check into a hotel. The woman at the front desk gave him his key and told him none of the guests are allowed to go into the room across the hall. He agreed, but as he continued to stay in the hotel, he grew more and more curious about the room he wasn't supposed to go in. At one point, he even walked down the hall to that room and tried the door. It was locked. Then he bent down and looked through the keyhole. He saw that it was just the same as his hotel room. But in the corner of the room, there was a woman whose skin was extremely pale, almost a sickly white. Her back was to the wall, so the man didn't see what she looked like. He almost knocked on the door, but then just decided to leave her alone. The next day, he walked past the door again and decided to look into the keyhole. This time, there was no hotel room and no woman. It was all just red. He thought that this seemed really strange, so he went to the front desk and asked about the room. After insisting on an answer, the woman at the front desk told him, a long time ago, a man killed his wife in that room, and her ghost is still there. But these ghosts are not what you might imagine. They're completely white all over, except for their eyes, which are red.
A military officer just wanted to get home when a man confronted her on the plane. Jessica was a woman who was in the US military for quite some time and she was used to undergoing extremely stressful situations. After finally getting her leave accepted, she arrived at the airport where she was very excited to fly home and see her family after not seeing them for quite some time. After getting her tickets, Jessica was ecstatic and could not wait to board her flight. As soon as Jessica boarded the flight, she rushed down the aisle of the plane passing through first class to get to her economy seat 31B. After sitting down in her seat, Jessica noticed a tall man talking to the stewardess specifically about her. Jessica looked out the window and waited for the plane to take off. Jessica noticed that the members on the plane began to talk about a passenger, and so she became curious as to what was going on. A stewardess and a well-dressed passenger both walked up to Jessica. When the man approached Jessica, he told her that she was sitting in his seat and she should check her ticket again. Jessica knew she was sitting in the right seat, so she pulled out her ticket to show the man. Jessica looked at the stewardess shocked, and that's when the man decided to let Jessica in on the surprise. He noticed that she was in the military and was giving up his first class seat for hers. After sitting down in her new seat, Jessica decided to write the man a handwritten note thanking him for his kind gesture. The man decided to write a note back asking her out to dinner when they landed. The two met at a nearby restaurant and had their very first date.
My sister and I have always been mistaken as twins. I'm 19 and she's 16, but we have the same height, skin tone, and similar voice. She also has a habit of being a copycat, from the way I dress to hobbies, even piercings. I know it's cute if you look at it from the outside, but sometimes it gets annoying. Like, yeah, we are quite close too, but why does she always happen to pick up everything I pick up? One afternoon, I was tidying up some costumes in my college showroom and found a rather cute brown and pink wig. It looks like a mushroom. I put it on, think it looks rather funny, so I snapped a picture and posted it to my Instagram. I received a text from my sister asking if I really cut my hair. I didn't mention it was a wig. While I somewhat have a feeling that she might copy that too, I lied and replied yes. I came home that weekend and lo and behold, my sister emerged with the same silly brown and pink bob cut, except this one is on her permanent hair. She was surprised that I arrived with my hair still long, then realized that I lied to her. She was furious that she had to cut that silly hairstyle because she thought I had it. Our parents think that it's a really bad joke and wanted me to cut my hair too to make it up to her. So am I the asshole for telling my sister I cut my hair when I really didn't?
Today at work, I was trying to call my wife, but for some reason my phone calls weren't getting through to her, so I used one of my coworkers' phones to dial my house number and call home. So I call home and a sweet voice answers the phone. It's my daughter. I go, "Hey cutie, how you doing?" She goes, "Hey daddy, what's up?" And I go, "I'm just at work. What are you and mommy doing?" She says, "Well, I just finished lunch and mommy's upstairs." I go, "Cutie, what's mommy doing upstairs?" She goes, "She's with Uncle Paul." And I go, "Uncle Paul? We don't have an Uncle Paul. What do you mean?" She's like, "Yeah, she's with Uncle Paul. They're upstairs in their room." So I'm like, "Cutie, that doesn't sound right. So what I want you to do is I want you to leave the phone on the kitchen table, go upstairs to your mommy's room and say, 'Hey, daddy just pulled in the driveway,' and tell me what happens, all right?" Did it, and like a minute later, she comes back and picks up the phone and goes, "Okay, daddy, I did it." And I go, "Okay, what happened?" She goes, "Well, mommy came running out of her room naked, and she tripped down the stairs and bumped her head, and now she can't get up." So I was like, "What about the other guy?" And she goes, "Well, Uncle Paul tried to jump out of the window into the pool, but he missed and hit the floor. Now he won't wake up." So I was like, "We don't have a pool." Then I look at the phone number, and I was like, "Oh, sorry, wrong number."
You guys are not even going to believe it when I say that when I was 15, I almost became a stepmom. Yes, we did skip a few chapters, so let's start from the beginning of the book. Back in the day, in middle school, there was this new bad boy in town. And for the purpose of the story, his name will be Dean. So Dean was a little bit older, but he would date some of the middle school girls. A little sus, I know, but even beyond this man had a bad reputation. And I did my best to stay away from guys like him. That was until the second quarter of my sophomore year in high school happened. And while my mom and I were walking around Walmart looking for a pair of jeans, we ran into Dean's mom. Well, our mom started talking and bonded really well. And that's when his mom suggested that we would be a really cute couple. She talked about how much he's changed, so I went ahead and added him on Snap. And the insane thing is that we actually started having really good conversation, like deep existential ones. But one night I was bored and started to creep on his Instagram account, and I came across a gender reveal photo. This man had a whole son on the way, and I accidentally liked the photo, and that's when I got a text from Dean saying, "Go ahead, ask me." So part 2 to me almost becoming a stepmom at the age of 15. So when he asked me about liking the gender reveal photo, I just decided to go ahead and play it dumb and be like, "What?" And then he tried to act like that text was meant for someone else. And then I go, "Are you sure you didn't want to ask me about your kid?" He was literally so embarrassed and thought that I would think of him differently. But he told me that him and that girl broke up, so I honestly didn't care. I was just like, so I could potentially be his stepmom. And he was like, "Yeah, I would actually love that." So we continue to snap and talk as normal and start to date. I caught feelings for Dean so hard. But one night when we were snapping, I got really excited and opened it up. And it was some girl. It said, "Who the F are you and why are you snapping my man?" I was like, "Me and Dean have been talking." And she was like, "I'm his baby mama and girlfriend." So I literally told her everything that this man had said to me and that he was in love with me. But then I blocked him on everything because I didn't want to break up their family. Ladies, if a baby mama is involved, always do that little extra bit of stalking to make sure they're really not together.